Every 1,000 years, the gods hold a council election to decide whether they want to let humanity live or not, and this time, all the votes point toward mankind's end. However, the Valkyries are surprisingly in favor of humanity's continuation, with the proposal of death matches where the mightiest gods are pitted against the mightiest humans across history. It is of utmost importance for humans to win over the gods in this Ragnarok. However, gods are immortal and can't be killed by mere humans and their human weapons. To give the people a chance against divinity, the Valkyries bond with the human warriors and become their divine weapon in the battle against the gods. Without this, there's no way for man to even fight a god, because all things considered, gods are just so much more powerful. But Record of Ragnarok is filled to the brim with gods from several mythologies across the globe. So, who's the strongest? Is it Zeus? Is it Shiva? Is it Odin? Do they even have contenders? Can any other god defeat them? Let's come up with an answer in this video. The premise of Record of Ragnarok. Scales heavily tipped against humanity. Mankind is off to a dodgy start from the very beginning of the anime, and rightfully so. After existing for 7 million years, they are now on the verge of facing extinction, not because of nuclear war or a meteor strike similar to the one that took out the dinosaurs, but because the gods believe that they should cease to exist. We're shown the Council of Valhalla, which usually technically refers to the hall where the Norse god Odin resides. But within the framework of Record of Ragnarok, it's a place where the gods from across all mythologies and religions unite. Similar to Olympus from Greek mythology, the god who presides over every other god as the council chairman is none other than the mighty Zeus himself, except he's a lot older and has much more of a gaunt appearance instead of looking like the stereotypically jacked and divinely attractive Greek god of the skies. There's also a horde of other gods such as Odin, Shiva from Hindu mythology, Aphrodite and Hermes from the Greek pantheon, Buddha, and several other minor gods. But why is humanity on the verge of being annihilated? Aphrodite states that humans have ruined their oceans with oil and tar, destroyed their forests, and polluted their planet. If anything, humans are the natural calamity that must cease to exist. Zeus also believes that mankind seems to have no intention for self-reformation. While the entire council votes to wipe out humanity instead of allowing them to live for another millennium, not every immortal stands against the mortals on the blue planet. In Norse mythology, Odin has a group of maidens and demi-goddesses known as the Valkyrie, who act on his orders. They're warriors who go to battlefields to collect the souls of mighty heroes, provided they're worthy of a place in Valhalla. But all the cultural mythologies are blended and reimagined here in Record of Ragnarok, so the Valkyrie play a majorly different role here. The one who stands out in particular is Brunhilde, who wishes for the continuation of the human race. She proposes to the council that humanity should be allowed to live on the grounds that the strongest humans across human history fight in 13 one-on-one battles against the gods. The side with the highest wins gets to have the final say. If the humans win, humanity gets to exist. If the gods win, humanity gets annihilated. Naturally, the gods are overly convinced that there's no way for them to lose to mere mortals, so Brunhilde provokes them by hurting their egos. She mocks them for being scaredy cats and thus being unwilling to fight humans. Her trick works, and the gods are all ready for the Ragnarok. The term Ragnarok in itself refers to a cataclysmic event from Norse mythology where the gods lose to evil and therefore a new world order rises. We see something similar in the movie Thor Ragnarok, where Thor loses his hammer Mjolnir after it is destroyed by Hela, and ultimately, she has to be defeated by allowing Asgard to be destroyed in Ragnarok. Although that's not how it pans out at all in the mythological stories, you get the gist about how the term signifies large-scale catastrophe. The battles are meant to take place in the Valhalla arena, which is starkly similar to the ones where Roman gladiators used to fight one another to the death. On one side, we have the gods and the other godly spectators who are rooting for them. On the other side, we have the humans and the mortal spectators. These humans are mostly not the present-day humans, but those who have existed in the past. For example, if a human fighter from 300 BC comes to the arena to fight a god, we get to see his friends and acquaintances in the spectators section. There is a segment where Hermes plays classical music and the human section has the likes of Mozart and Bach, who are astonished to hear their masterpieces being played by a Greek god. That settles the premise of the show. Up next, we have the battles themselves. Brunhilde has chosen some of the greatest humans from human history to go against the gods, giving us the set list. So far in the story, we get to see 9 battles. Let's introduce them one by one. The first battle is the Norse god Thor versus the ancient Chinese warrior Lu Bu. While Thor is the Norse god of thunder, Lu Bu Lu is considered to be the strongest human warrior in history. Next up, there's the mighty Zeus versus the first human, Adam. The third battle pits the Greek god of the seas Poseidon against the Japanese swordsman Kojiro Sasaki. The fourth battle is between the mighty Heracles, or Hercules, versus the notorious English serial killer Jack the Ripper. The fifth battle is the Hindu god of destruction Shiva versus Raiden Taemimon, who is the greatest sumo wrestler of all time. The sixth battle pits the god of misfortune Zirofuku, or Hajun, against Buddha. While Buddha has been shown as part of the Valhalla Council, he fights for humanity and is one of their representatives. As per history, Buddha was born a human prince who later attained nirvana by letting go of worldly desires and eventually becoming divine. The anime hasn't been animated beyond this, but the match set list has already been revealed in the first season, so the matchups after this aren't exactly spoilers. However, if you don't remember and want it to be a surprise, maybe you should skip the next few seconds. Back to the program, the seventh battle will be between the Greek god of the underworld Hades and the Chinese emperor and the very first emperor ever, Qin Shi Huang. The eighth battle is between the Abrahamic devil Beelzebub and the Serbian revolutionary scientist Nikola Tesla. And finally, the ongoing battle is between the Greek sun god Apollo and Leonidas, who's a Spartan and the strongest rebel in human history. What is known is that the Valkyries guide the souls of the worthiest human warriors to Valhalla following their deaths after slaying them. This is done so that the gods can use these humans as warriors in their armies, considering gods often fall into wars, such as the gods versus Titan War or the attack of the giants from Jotunheim on Asgard. However, we learn in Record of Ragnarok that these Valkyries never had any intentions of creating an army for heaven. What they do intend to do is bond with a warrior of their choice and transform them into a weapon that's perfect for its wielder. For example, Tesla's Iron Man-like armored suit is the weapon his Valkyrie turns into. Meanwhile, the Valkyrie who chooses Kojiro turns into a divine sword for him to wield. This pact between human and Valkyrie is known as Volunder. With this, humans get a chance against the gods as they now possess divine weapons that not only allow them to withstand a blow from a god, it also lets them inflict damage upon these immortal beings. Unfortunately, if the human representative dies, so too does the Valkyrie who's bonded with them. On the bright side, this isn't happening against the consent of the Valkyries, and it's not like Brunhilde is forcing them to die for her or humanity's sake. Also, gods aren't shown to be beings who are unkillable by humans. The power scaling, in a way, reduces the strength of the gods from how we may perceive it to be in their respective mythologies. Meanwhile, humans are strengthened, not just with their divine weapons, but also when it comes to their natural instincts. After all, this is a battle anime, and battle anime is a place where human beings aren't exactly incapable of possessing absurd amounts of power. Case in point, Gojo Satoru. Record of Ragnarok does not have power structures similar to the ones in Battle Shonen, but we get to see absurdly overpowered human beings, which is realistically improbable, but very much possible within an anime. For example, the fight between Lu and Thor goes on for a good amount of time, and Thor, despite being renowned for saving Asgard from the giants of Jotunheim single-handedly, acknowledges Lubu's strength. Both sides inflict heavy damage upon the other, and Lubu shows off a move where he can split the skies with his sword. He also laments over never being able to find a worthy opponent during his life as a human, and as such, is grateful for an opportunity to fight a god. However, the fight does end with Thor's victory. In the second battle, Adam fights Zeus. Adam seemingly hates the gods because in the Garden of Eden, the serpent assaulted his wife Eve and framed her for eating the apple when she did not. However, the gods never sided with her and banished her to Earth. Adam stood by Eve, and together they descended to the planet and gave birth to humanity. Adam is also implied to be the strongest human ever, as he was created in the image of God. The Sistine Chapel painting of the creation of Adam with God touching his finger directly alludes to that. Record of Ragnarok takes it very literally and runs with it, and as a result, Adam can do anything a god can. Meanwhile, Zeus, as the chairman council of Valhalla, is believed to be the strongest god. The second battle is literally a fight between the strongest human and the strongest god, and for a good majority of that fight, Adam dominates, until he doesn't. The fate of humanity falters once again with the loss of Adam at the hands of Zeus, giving the gods a lead of 2-0 against mankind. This also makes sense considering two things. Firstly, Zeus has already been hyped up as the strongest god, so he will most definitely not lose in battle. It just wouldn't make sense for Zeus to lose to a man at this point. Secondly, humans losing both matches makes matters pretty bleak for humanity, raising the stakes and thus making the story more exciting. What makes Zeus the strongest, and what gives humanity a chance against the gods? Among the gods who appear in Record of Ragnarok, 4 of them are considered to be the supreme gods, namely Zeus, Shiva, Hades, and Odin. As we've already established, Zeus is hinted to be the strongest of them all, which is evident from the fact that he's the chairman at the Council of Valhalla. This makes it strange for him to straight up appear in the second battle in the arena because you'd expect the most powerful god to either open or close the show. Even if they intervene midway, it would make sense for them to do it in a situation where the odds are stacked against the favor of the gods. So why does Zeus fight Adam and appear in round 2? For every match, the matchups are done between gods and humans who share certain things in common or oppose one another in similar ways. In the case of Thor and Lubu, they are both warriors who were renowned for decimating their opponents with a single strike. In the case of Buddha and Zirofuku, the latter represents all the sins, while Buddha's ideology revolves around letting go of such sins and worldly desires as a whole in order to attain nirvana. Adam is the first human to ever exist and as such is the father of humanity. Meanwhile, Zeus in the show is known as the godfather of the cosmos, or the GFOC. Originally, Shiva was supposed to fight in this round, so it was surprising for Brunhilde and the audience alike for Zeus to come up so early. And although Shiva is extremely mighty, the narrative around the swap of the gods and the subsequent shock of the people tells us that Zeus holds the #1 position when it comes to strength. And yet, Adam is able to give Zeus a run for his money in their battle because of his eyes. He has an ability known as divine reflection, which not only allows him to see through Zeus's moves, it also helps him copy those moves and return them to Zeus, thus inflicting damage on the god. This ability plays on the fact that Adam was created in the image of God, which is why he can essentially imitate what the gods are doing. While Zeus's attacks are all launched within the tiny time frame of 1/1,000,000th of a second, Adam is successfully able to dodge them all. He even dodges Zeus's attack known as the fist that surpassed time. Here, Zeus launches his attacks within the time frame of 1/quintillionth of a second. Given the fact that the speed is so unfathomable, it is practically Lovecraftian because none of the other gods, despite being gods, are able to see the attack. The only reason that Adam can even perceive such an attack and dodge it is because his divine reflection is allowing him to mimic and impersonate Zeus. This doesn't mean Adam is as strong as Zeus because pitted against a less powerful god, Adam would reflect the latter's strengths instead of being able to use Zeus's abilities. However, it has also been noted that Zeus himself is unable to dodge this attack when Adam uses it on him. But there are a lot of other factors that are responsible for making Zeus the strongest. During the days of Titanomachy, which was a Ragnarok-like battle between the gods and the Titans, the two sides battled to determine who were the most powerful beings in the universe. Around this time, a younger Zeus emerged victorious as he had defeated all of his opponents without being hit once. He eventually killed his father, the Titan of Time, Kronos, who was able to hit Zeus in the jaw without the latter ever perceiving the attack. This very attack later became the fist that surprised time, as it defied all laws of time and made it seem like time had come to a halt. The Titanomachy establishes that Zeus is above every other god in the Greek pantheon, and as such, he's the strongest Olympian. This already puts him above the other divine combatants like his elder brother Poseidon and Heracles. We know that he's stronger than Shiva because Zeus was able to make Shiva sit on his knees with a tap when he asked Shiva to switch for the second battle with him. Zeus also creates the ambrosia, where his blood is fused with a liquid, giving it special properties. Consuming the liquid allows a heroic mortal to become immortal and a god, which is why Heracles and Achilles were originally demigods, but later became gods who could rival the god of war Ares. This brings us to Thor, who, as the first combatant, was definitely not stronger than Zeus because although an opener is often one of the best in the game, they're never really the one on top. On the runway, the opener has to be a great model, but the best model walks as the showstopper, not the starter. In a concert, the opening act has to be great, but they are only opening for the headliner. In the case of Thor, he's weaker than Zeus. His father Odin is someone who is technically the Norse mythology counterpart of Zeus, but because we're not assessing power based on brute strength alone, Thor doesn't have an edge over Zeus. If we do consider brute strength, however, Zeus can literally manipulate how physically strong he is, as he can control the muscles across his body by altering his anatomy according to his needs. He possesses the ability to make his strikes faster with each attack. One of his ultimate forms in the show is the Adamus form, where he compresses his muscles to their limits and concentrates his divine powers on every single movement. In this form, Zeus is nigh invincible. While Zeus has been using his own powers in the battle, Adam has been retaliating by emulating Zeus, which causes his body to overheat. Eventually, Zeus's raw blood falls into Adam's eye, which is a dangerous situation because it can cause death to mortals no matter how strong they are, unless they're true heroes. This results in Adam bleeding profusely from his nose, eyes, and ears while he loses his vision, and as such, cannot use divine reflection anymore. Meanwhile, Zeus has also taken a lot of damage and can't maintain the Adamus form for too long, so the battle pits their endurance and sustainability against one another's. However, Adam keeps taking Zeus's blows to get closer to him and hits him with an attack. And although Adam is able to bring Zeus to his knees and break the Adamus form, he is soon revealed to be dead while standing, which proves that he has lost to Zeus. This sets the score to 2-0, with humans not having any wins. Things begin to change in round 3 when Zeus's elder brother Poseidon has to fight named Kojiro Sasaki. Now, Poseidon has been alluded to be the mightiest god as the tyrant of the ocean and the elder brother of Zeus, but factually that's not correct. Both in and out of Record of Ragnarok, Zeus is considered to be the king of the gods in Greek mythology, which means that he's unrivaled. If another character or god is being hailed as being stronger than Zeus, it's more likely to hype them up and increase the stakes for humanity than for the sake of the story. Kojiro is simultaneously considered to be the greatest loser and the greatest swordsman in history. The man has lost so many times throughout his life, it is unbelievable, but one learns from their mistakes. His willingness to constantly lose has given Kojiro the defensive mindset of a loser. He can imagine situations where he loses and use it to eliminate movesets where he does something that results in his loss. If anything, he possesses remarkable tenacity. Unlike the gods, man is not born with divine strength. Man builds his strength from the ground up and requires tremendous tenacity and willpower to rise to the top. During the fight, Poseidon also shows disinterest towards the gods who are cheering for him, so much so that he wants them to stop. When Kojiro questions him about it, Poseidon tells him how gods don't need the support and cheers of others because they're already perfect. Later, Kojiro asks him if he ever practices his swing all night till it's dawn to get stronger, or if he's ever cried for a foe out of gratitude because the foe has helped him get stronger. However, he apologizes for asking such a question because he knows that these are emotions that Poseidon, as a perfect being or god, can't relate to. And for this, Kojiro stands against letting Poseidon take the win because the latter has never had feelings for anyone. Unlike most of the other human contenders, Kojiro also continued to practice his swing following his death, so in Ragnarok, he possessed the physical stats from his golden age while having the experience and skills of a much stronger and much more experienced swordsman. Combined with his ability to envision situations of his opponent's attacks and reactions and attack accordingly, Kojiro is ultimately able to defeat Poseidon with his divine blades, which are fused with the Valkyrie Hrist. As the battle ends, Poseidon is reduced to dust and the gods are shocked that he was taken out by a human. This also gives humans their first win and raises their morale. Finally, Zeus is forced to realize that mankind is strong and that the gods will have to take the battles more seriously. Things get more intense when mankind equalizes the score as Jack the Ripper is able to defeat Heracles. The gods take the lead again after Shiva defeats Raiden. The next win goes to humanity with Buddha fighting for them and defeating Zerofuku. So far, the score stands at 3-3. The one being who may give Zeus a run for his money and steal his thunder. We know of the brothers Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades, but they also had a fourth brother named Adamas back when there used to be 13 gods in Olympus. Because Titanomachy proved that Zeus was the strongest, the Greek god of conquest, Adamas, could not come to terms with it and thus wished to stage a coup against Zeus. For his army, he freed the Gigantes and the Titans who were imprisoned in Tartarus, which is the deepest region in the Hades-ruled underworld and acts as the lockup for the enemies of the gods. Adamas also bent the terrifying beast known as Typhon to his will. This was a massive feat because A, Typhon is considered to be the ultimate nightmare for the Olympian gods, and B, Typhon was destined to overthrow Zeus in the cycle of kings. It had previously ripped out Zeus's tendons following a battle and humiliated the god by turning his tendons into lyre strings. It was also theoretically stronger than all the Olympians combined. Typhon was ultimately subdued with Zeus trapping it under Mount Etna. He was never really able to kill the beast. Record of Ragnarok doesn't really dive into these things, but we're using such mythological moments for reference to scale the characters against one another. With Typhon by Adamas' side, he became stronger than Zeus, in the sense that he had the aid to take Zeus out. Adamas had also convinced 49 other gods, alongside other Olympian gods such as Hermes, to side with him. He wished Poseidon would side with him instead of Zeus, which only made Poseidon find him pathetic. Meanwhile, Hermes worked undercover for Zeus. During Poseidon's fight against Kojiro, he had mentioned how gods don't rely on armies or schemes for their battles because they're already perfect. However, Adamas had gathered his own army and created schemes to take down Zeus, which went against his godly nature. Naturally, an angered Adamas attacked Poseidon while the latter mortally wounded him and asks everyone to forget about his existence. Major spoiler warning to anime onlys. We're now going to discuss what's going on in the manga to come close to having a definitive answer, so everything starting now is going to be full of spoilers. Adamas was never truly killed. If Poseidon wanted to take him out once and for all, he wouldn't have left any trace of Adamas. But he only mortally wounds Adamas, who is eventually rescued by Hermes and Hades. The two of them take him to Beelzebub, who saves Adamas from death by transforming him into a cyborg known as Adamantine. While the Olympians forget Adamas, he continues to live in Helheim in his new form. In Record of Ragnarok, Adamantine joins the gods to watch the tournament from the 7th round. In this round, Hades, the king of Helheim, or the underworld, wishes to avenge Poseidon's death and fights the first emperor, Qin Shi Huang. However, this battle is also won by humanity as Hades is defeated, which puts humans in the lead for the very first time. Angered, Adamantine develops the desire to take revenge for the death of his brother and heads to kill the king. He also finds Brunhilde and Gaul on the way, and Adamas prepares to kill them until he is stopped by Beelzebub. We know that Zeus was stronger than Adamas before the latter's fall. However, it wasn't as if Zeus was significantly stronger than Adamas because all 4 sons of Kronos are considered to be absurdly powerful and can stand against each other in battle without the fear of being obliterated by another brother in a short period of time. With Zeus's final form referring to Adamas, and the latter's new body being much stronger than it used to be, one could assume that Adamas is stronger than Zeus. However, we see Beelzebub subdue Adamas with ease. So does that make Beelzebub stronger? Yes and no. We have to understand that while Zeus hails from Greek mythology, Beelzebub is a figure in Abrahamic religion, and within Record of Ragnarok is part of the Abrahamic pantheon. While it's easier to compare the gods from mythologies, things get a bit more complicated when it comes to Abrahamic religions, as the teachings allude to an omnipotent, all-powerful god and its antithesis, Satan. Instead of Valhalla and Helheim, or Olympus and the underworld, we have heaven and hell. The likes of Zeus, Shiva, and Odin can be countered by other gods and other beasts. In Abrahamic religions, no one is more powerful than God. However, the one being who is feared is Satan. In Record of Ragnarok, Beelzebub is the second personality of Satan. He used to be one of the minor gods in Valhalla, but was seemingly cursed by Satan and regarded as anathema. The other gods would talk about how Satan would gnaw out the hearts of any gods who befriended Beelzebub and thus bring tremendous misery. Naturally, Beelzebub was not only isolated by divine society, but also by himself. Things changed when 3 angels named Lucifer, Azazel, and Samael decided to befriend him. No one had ever seen Satan, which became the basis for the angels even befriending Beelzebub. This is a universe where people are used to seeing gods and angels, and they'd never seen Satan. So Satan was as good as a myth to them. However, as Beelzebub grew close to the angels, he one day found them dead with their hearts gnawed out, which helped him realize that this was Satan's doing. As such, he dedicated himself to finding Satan and avenging his friends by killing him. In the meantime, he met Lilith, who used to be Lucifer's childhood friend. While she cooperated with him in his search for Satan, the two gradually fell in love. The moment he admitted and professed his feelings, Satan gnawed out her heart. Right then, Beelzebub witnessed how Satan resided inside him, which is why he could never find Satan. The devil was within him. His friends had died because Beelzebub was present and because he cared for them. He could never kill Satan because he was Satan. Naturally, Beelzebub went on a suicide mission seeking his own death and, as such, asked Hades to kill him. However, with her dying breath, Lilith had placed the rose tattoo from her face on Beelzebub's chest. It had a spell which would prevent Beelzebub from killing himself or from letting others kill him because she loved him back and wanted him to live for their sake. Let's say Beelzebub tried to stab himself. To prevent this, vines from the tattoo would sprout under his skin to create an arm which would hold back Beelzebub's attacking arm. He always thought the tattoo was a curse, but Hades clarified that it was a prayer which would allow him to live for his sake and for his fallen friends. We see Beelzebub in action against Nikola Tesla, where Beelzebub is very powerful because he possesses the staff of Apollonius. He can use it with his left hand to defend against any attack, or he can use it with his right hand for a seismokinetic offense. If he uses both at the same time, he'll create chaos, which is a taboo in Helheim and the original sin of the Netherworld. This technique will create a black sphere engulfing him and his opponent. The end result will be Beelzebub being injured while his opponent is dead. In the fight against Tesla, we basically see Tesla wearing a suit of armor which acts as his very own Valkyrie-fueled divine weapon. He also employs the usage of his Tesla coils and the super Tesla particles, and as a result, he can perform instantaneous teleportation. This allows him to withstand Beelzebub's chaos. At one point, he's even able to imprison Beelzebub within his Gemateria zone. Basically, Tesla's fighting style makes him some sort of divine mecha godly Iron Man. However, he is ultimately killed with Beelzebub crushing his heart and destroying his last remaining Tesla coil. But these aren't the feats that make Beelzebub a good contender against Zeus. It's Lilith's curse, or rather prayer, that makes it impossible for anyone to kill him. Being immortal gods doesn't mean that one cannot be killed, it just means that one can't die of old age. These gods clearly die from being killed by other gods or through the usage of divine weapons. Naturally, Zeus can also be killed. But Beelzebub is the only one here with a spell that prevents him from being killed by anyone or anything. But let's assume for a second that Zeus is able to bypass this spell and destroy Beelzebub regardless, because he finds some sort of counterspell or something of that nature. If Beelzebub does manage to develop love for Zeus by headcanoning him as his divine great-grandfather, Satan's hand will gnaw out Zeus's heart. Marvelous verdict. If we put Zeus in a death match against Beelzebub, it is possible for Beelzebub to win simply because he can't be killed. Anything necessary to reverse Lilith's spell would require research on Zeus's part, and with his Greek god ego, it would make a lot of sense that he would share Poseidon's views on gods being perfect and never ever needing schemes. Point to Beelzebub. And with that, today's video comes to an end. Who do you think is the strongest god? Did you enjoy this video? If so, then don't forget to like and comment down below. Until next time, thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and have a marvelous day.